Among the most threatened ecosystems globally are tropical rainforests. It's estimated they are home to half the animal and plant species on the planet, and they are characterised by two key features. They are hot and they are wet. That combination of heat and moisture particularly suits one plant group, philodendrons. Neil Crafter is one of Australia's foremost experts on philodendrons, and he's managed to curate a fantastic rare collection of these humidity-loving tropical plants right here in very untropical South Australia. So how did you get interested in philodendrons?
Well, Sophie, it really dates back to my time in architecture school at Adelaide University, and we had a studio there, and one of the students next to me had an indoor plant on his desk, and I thought, oh, that looks nice. So I went out and, by chance, bought a philodendron, and you know, some 45 years later, here I am still growing philodendrons. They can grow comfortably indoors, but they also thrive really when you can get them in an environment similar to the rainforests of South and Central America. Come in.
Look at that. So how do you create tropical conditions in Adelaide?
Well, essentially you need a greenhouse to be able to do it. Here in Adelaide we've got low humidity. They're tropical rainforest plants that are used to getting wet. So with the right combination of heat and moisture, you know, these plants will thrive.
Oh, so this is the misters?
Yeah, the misters, I've got an automatic controller that I can adjust, and you can sort of already feel, just being around the misters, how much cooler it becomes. So, yeah, they're very effective.
So what sort of percentage humidity are you aiming for in here in the warmer months?
Yeah, look, in the warmer month, I'll be looking for 80+% humidity. They're adapted to those sorts of high humidity conditions, and they really thrive in that. Feeding is a pretty crucial part of keeping these philodendrons happy, and there is an old horticultural saying about fertilising weekly with the spelling W-E-A-K-L-Y.
Okay.
So weak liquid fertiliser regularly is something that I subscribe to, and I'll have a number of different varieties. Some might be fish emulsion, some might be more seaweed based. And so the plant is hopefully getting a good range of nutrients and the trace elements that they need.
So if you want to grow them inside, are there some basic cultural notes that people should know?
Yeah, well, essentially making sure that they're in a nice free-draining potting mix. I use one that's got a lot of orchid-type mix, so there's a fair bark component. I add perlite, horticultural charcoal into the mix to keep it nice and open and free-draining, so that when I water a plant, there's no pooling at all. The water just really goes straight through the potting soil.
Now, I notice that you've got some little babies in these plastic bags.
Yeah, these resealable bags are actually a really good way of assisting growth of cuttings. Essentially what I do is I pot up the cuttings into sphagnum moss, and in these little bags, what I do is essentially keep the cutting in that bag, and it acts like a little humidity crib for the cutting, keeps the humidity up and keeps the sphagnum moist, and it's a really good environment for cuttings to strike. And once they're established, and this little guy is probably maybe a month or two away from being able to be potted up.
Now, do they all have to be grown in a greenhouse, or can some grow outside?
No, definitely a number can grow outside, and I've had experience in Adelaide of growing a number of them outside, but essentially the ones that do like it are the tree-type philodendrons. The more robust and thicker the leaves, the more likely that they'll do well growing outside, whereas the thinner, more delicate leaves are going to dry out and be damaged by the wind a lot easier.
So do you have a favourite?
Yeah, well, look, I've got a lot of favourites actually, Sophie, but this is probably one of them. This is Philodendron verrucosum, so named because of very hairy leaf stems or petioles, and it's got a beautiful red blush on the back of its leaves and quite a satiny texture to it.
Oh, it's beautiful. How does it make you feel to wander out here open the doors of the greenhouse and see your amazing collection?
Yeah, look, it's certainly an escape, and you know, I look at them with a critical eye, unfortunately. So there's always things, blemishes and so on, and you know, a perfect leaf might be the next one because this one's got some damage on it as it's open. So as any grower, you think about things that you could have done better or differently. But in general terms, yes, I'm really comfortable and in a happy place when I come out here.